Okay. I have a story to share, and it's been a really long time since I've sat and shared from my heart. So I'm going to just start here with a few breaths and a little prayer, and just come and arrive in my body, drop into my heart space. And so I'll invite you to just join me. You can sit, straighten your spine, roll your shoulders, just unclench your jaw. Relax your tongue. Let your throat relax and feel that relaxation come all the way down to the depth of your belly, through the pelvic floor. Just as if it's like this anchoring weight and an anchor just dropping down through you, through the earth, through this exact moment in time. Just notice. Observe the moment, observe the breath, observe yourself. So funny. I used to do this on the regular. I used to sit with people and guide. And that is gone now from my life. Temporarily, maybe. Forever, maybe. These are very uncertain times. And this is sort of the story that I want to share. You might have seen my Instagram stories over the weekend, and I really want to share like the truth of my story, where I've come from, what my values are, what my mission is, why I'm doing what I'm doing now, how it's all come together. Like I want you to see me. I want you to see me. One of the greatest gifts that we have as humans and in connection with one another is the ability to drop our guards, open our hearts, and in that really see the truth that sits in front of us, the truth of another, the truth of the world outside of us. We have a power to drop all illusory sense and really see reality. So it really is such a gift to share vulnerably, to share the truth of, personal experience and have witness, have somebody see. That's the juice of connection. So I invite you to see me as I share from my heart. So I have come to this moment from about 10 to 12 years of navigating the industry that is yoga, which is also maybe the new age industry, the spiritual industry. It's an industry. And it's also like deeply like knotted up with doctrine. And in that is a ripe ground for infiltration. If one is not truly connected and knowing of self, the authentic self, the authentic expression of the individual soul, and because we are beings that again find so much value in connection and belonging, again, these industries that, you know, are based on doctrine of love and unconditional love, connection, you know, community, it can really be a ripe ground to be infiltrated, taken advantage of, manipulated, and, you know, ultimately when that happens, like the authentic expression is completely taken out, and you start to have, you know, just more puppets, more inauthentic expression, more people just preaching something they know nothing about. So this is what I ultimately have seen in, I mean, the world at large. This is what's happening on a collective scale in the mainstream narratives that are at play. And we see that, I've seen that in the industry of yoga. So as I've navigated my way through, always remembering the anchor of my own heart, I've continually come up to situations, opportunities to really practice what it is that, you know, we all as the industry preach. As an industry, we are, as a philosophy, let's take it out of industry. As a philosophy, the practice of yoga is teaching autonomy. It's teaching sovereignty. The entire point of, you know, waking up your kundalini and balancing your chakras is to connect to the sovereign self, the source of all that is, you know, being an autonomous agent of life. So, you know, the first, let's say, the first 8 years of my experience as a teacher, as a yoga teacher in public studios, just navigating all of the fucking shit. It was mostly me just kind of playing defense, you know, like, okay, watching it all play out, seeing it all for what it is, kind of just like allowing it to happen, because I love teaching and I'm a great teacher, and I knew I could make my way through it and remain authentic, remain individual, and be successful. I didn't have to fall into the traps. I didn't have to be like everyone else. I didn't have to handstand in my bikini just to make it. And yeah, so that was the first like 8 years or so. And then, probably about 3 years ago, I decided, okay, I want to do this full time. This is, I want to leave the service industry. I cannot fucking wait tables anymore. I'm done with nightlife. I'm done, also on that end, the nightlife, drinking, drugs, random relations. I really wanted to just choose my path. I wanted to take the direction I was always meant to go in, and live my prosperous life. So 3 years ago, I, made that decision to just leave it all behind and go into teaching full time. That's when the challenges really came in. And so it was about 2 years ago then, where if you watched my stories over the weekend, I posted the video that actually got me fired, indirectly fired. My practice as a yoga teacher, I was a yin teacher. So I mastered yin. I mastered the feminine expression in physical form. Through postural practice, we can really drop into the unknown and tap into the quantum and do our work of manifestation as we rest in the body and move the energy that's stagnant and stuck through stillness, through silence, and through that quantum, feminine work, going into the dark, sitting with ourselves in, the unknown and in discomfort. So I truly mastered yin practice. So that was my, what I taught. That was my teaching. And then I also had this very masculine side through my knowledge of Pilates and through being an instructor of the comprehensive work of Basi Pilates via Joseph Pilates. So that then being a very masculine structure of practice, very much about form, precision, efficiency, control. So I had this very deep marrying of both energies, again, via the body. And yeah, from again, then all of my experience in the rooms, teaching the public, teaching all sorts of bodies, extremely diverse populations, I found a lot of the time people were being told to go to yoga because they had a serious injury. And so it was oh, well, just go stretch, just go to yoga. Yoga will fix you. And in fact, yoga as a postural practice is a very incomplete practice. It's a set number of postures, and you're supposed to master those postures, and then you can move on to the next postures. But it's messy. There's a lot of contortion. There's a lot of force, and especially a power or Ashtanga practice. There's just also then within the industry, just no regulation of who can be a teacher, how many, it's a basic 200 hours of studying that allows you to now sit in front of, a group of people and lead them in their bodies. And only maybe 50 of those hours are anatomy. And so you sort of think that if you're going to go fix a problem with your shoulder, you're going to want to go into classes where the teacher maybe has a little more than 50 hours of experience in anatomy. The postural practice, regular flow classes, drop-in studios that are $5, $15, it's not gonna fucking fix your goddamn back. And I'm not sorry for saying that. It's just the truth. You know, like if we have an issue in the shoulder, if we have an issue in the hip, an issue in the foot, like you have to do serious structural practice to reform your spine, to reform the core of your body, to strengthen the glutes, like some of the strongest muscles of your form. That core aspect of the body must be like integrated deeply in order to find true freedom from your pain. And that's just not taught in flow classes. So anyways, I called this out. I called this out 2 years ago, whilst yes, working for studios, but as an independent contractor. I'm an independent business. I get my voice. It's, again, the huge part of the yoga practice is we are individuals with an individual authentic voice and expression, and it's our birthright to use that voice. And you know, it's our responsibility to use that authenticity in order to reach those that we might be of great service to. Like, this is the point of yoga. So as I'm stepping into this truth and, you know, trying to build my, you know, little niche, I use my voice to say this, that, you know, yoga is an incomplete practice and you should be adding strength work to your flexibility work. The only way you can have mobility is you first have to have stability. Like, you don't get to be mobile without, you know, a stable foundation. You don't get to build a house unless you have the 4 pillars and the foundation. You know, like, it's very obvious to me. Anywho, I post this video, and women in business is the next part of this story. Women, business is not emotional. Business is not personal. And you need to know this. We have to remember this. Yes, we're beautifully emotional, like authoritative beings, but we cannot bring our personal emotionality into play when it comes to business. And this is something I'm learning, yes, from this experience, these experiences. And so, because women are dramatic, you know, that video was taken personally by the studio owner of one of the studios that I taught at. And in that, I was told that I was going to be suspended for a month and that I needed to stop and think about what I'd done and what I wanted to do with that, who I wanted to be as a teacher. So I was put on a timeout. And as soon as I was put on a timeout, I said, you know what? You can't do that to me. I don't consent to that. So thank you for the last 5 years. It's been a pleasure. And I'll see you never. And I walked away. I walked away without students knowing why, and they were never told the truth. I walked away after having, you know, truly worked for this studio, you know, on and off for 5 years and solidly over, you know, the previous like 1 or 2, and really built a following, really built up, you know, a lot of classes. I was teaching there, you know, 4 to 8 classes in a week, and my personal classes were always full, always really strong, and I had great respect as a teacher. But that didn't matter to me. You know, what mattered more was the freedom that I have to use my voice. And that is always, always what I stand for. So, you know, fine, I walk away. That's okay. And that was at the end of 2019. And then, lo and behold, 2020 happened. And everybody took a pause then. And right away, though, I knew that this shit was going to be real weird to navigate as a person who is very awake, who has no illusory sense of being. There's no illusion up here. Again, that's a huge part of the yoga practice. The philosophy is we are learning to drop illusion and become these enlightened spiritual beings awake in this world, recognizing that we are a soul having a human experience, not just like this third dimensional human that like life happens to. We are the conduit for life. Life happens through us, not to us. And therefore, there's just no separation of the being and the natural world. There's no wound of separation. We are at one with all that is. So 2020, what the fuck was that going to look like as a teacher? For a while we had a little break, that was fine. And then, it became virtual. And just in order to make a living, I went with it and basically shut my mouth. Didn't really speak the full truth, that I know to be true. I held back because, well, I have compassion. I'm not here to hurt people. I'm not here to piss people off intentionally. I'm not even here to wake people up, I'm not here to do that. That's on you. That's choice. And I'm not here to push agenda, to push doctrine. I'm not here to make you trust me or believe in me. I'm here to teach you to trust in yourself, to believe in yourself, and see that reflected in belief of life at large. So we move through the year slowly. I'm trying to build online and trying to transfer this teaching online, and nobody wants to do fucking yoga online. It's like the antithesis of the practice. So we fast forward, and it comes time to the end of the summer, and these, mandates are coming in where we're going to have to check for jab status. And, I don't care whether you've said yes or no to it. I mean, I do care, but it's your choice, your body, your choice. That's my number one rule. That's the practice. You're an autonomous, sovereign being who is mature and responsible and can make decisions for themselves. And so I respect your decision, wherever the fuck it is. Like, I genuinely respect you for making your decision. I ask that you respect me just as much in return. Right? Like, that's how we are interrelated here. That's how we make this work as a collective, is mutual respect and mutual ground for choice. Freedom to choose how we want to show up in this world. Freedom to believe in what we believe in. So I always stand for that. And these mandates come in now that you're only allowed in public places if you've, got your bazillion doses of this experimentation. So that's a no for me. That's a no for me. I do not consent. And I have a platform, and I have a voice. I have people who respect my voice, who specifically come to sit in front of me and receive what I have to say. And as a teacher, I believe it's my responsibility, again, to use that voice to be in my authentic, unique expression, again, because I am here to be of service to those who are ready to hear what my heart has to share. So if I do not use that privilege and take responsibility to share the truth of what I know, what I've learned, what I've come to see, then I am not a yogi. Then I am not in integrity of what this practice really is. And I should not have a platform, and people should not be coming to me as an authority figure of any kind. And so I chose to speak out, and I burned bridges. Again, I left a community of people who do not understand why I left. You know, it was clear, I said, because of this, I am leaving, but they don't understand why. They think I'm dangerous. They think I'm, totally far off. All of the names. All of the names. I'm sure many, there's probably a select few who understand. But for the most part, the majority, the owner of that studio that I left, no, that was not a good ending. That was not a good ending. But again, it's in the integrity of my soul. And I have to answer to that integrity no matter what, no matter how much I love the practice, no matter how many students love me and come to my classes. It is the responsibility of the authoritative voice to stand the F up and tell it how it is. And so in all of that, I've, really chosen to let it go over the last 2 years. Like, you don't even know, but I'm a fucking yoga teacher. I'm a good teacher. I have a very strong talent. I do. And it doesn't even matter. I left it behind because in these times, if you have an understanding of what's going on and you know that this is a black and a white issue, it is the responsibility that we have as awakened souls to stand in that integrity and hold the line. So recently I met another yoga teacher and, bless, I get it. And it's fine. It's fine. But this is it. It's like, if you have people listening and a certain truth, and maybe it's an unpopular truth, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion, I really believe it's your responsibility to share that truth and share it in a compassionate way. Share it in a way that's grounded and again, not chaotic and not a projection, but as like an invitation for others to come in, for others to rest in the space that you hold. This is a black and white issue. And as a human, yes, there's middle ground, but the middle ground doesn't mean that you are indecisive. Middle ground doesn't mean that you don't choose a side for yourself. Middle ground is mutual respect for choice. That's the middle ground. The middle ground is mutual respect for choice. But as an individual, if we are in the game of self-actualization, enlightenment, and truly being connected to the divine source of all that is, you have to make a decision. You have to land on a black or a white. You do. And it's not that one is bad and one is good. That's not black and white. It's just that each end of the spectrum exists. And if we don't have an end of the spectrum, we're just a fucking chaotic, swampy mess. And nothing gets done and nothing works out and nothing is solved and no one moves forward. There has to be these pillars. There has to be, again, pillars, the foundation for anything to grow from. And so as an individual, we must have integrity. We must have a solid spine and solid core in order for us to be graceful and move forward and have the flow of life take us on the destined path that we've come to experience. To be self-actualized, you must have opinion. You must have belief. You have to. Like, otherwise, like, what the fuck is the point? Really, like, if you're just like this like little ball that like just like, you know, side swipes and like bypasses and ducks and like avoids and doesn't actually use the platform and the privilege that you have to express truth. Again, not like in a hard way, not to convert, not to like change anyone's mind, but again, as the service that you are. Because there are people that need to hear what you have to say. There are people that you are here to be of service to, very specific people. And if you hold that voice back and you temper it down, again, just so you don't ruffle feathers, so you don't piss people off, so you don't burn bridges. No, like, you're not doing it right. Especially if you call yourself a yoga teacher. Especially that. So yes, this is Unpopular Opinions with Kaylen, and like, it's really got me into some messy places, owning the truth that this is. People, women especially, women yogis, they don't get it. They think I'm a very dark, very bad, very pessimistic person. And I love it. I love that. I love that, like, that there is truth. I love that there is an anchor that keeps me grounded here in this moment, in this world that is absolutely inverted and chaotic. Having truth, having belief, having a solid knowing of what is the truth of spirit, the truth of soul. And like, if you are really in touch with that, you know what's going on. You do. You do. And I encourage you to continually sit with that knowing. Put your cards down, put your crystals away, put your practice to the side, put it all away. Everything that's outside of you, put it away and sit in stillness, sit in silence with you and your breath and the discomfort of what you know is wrong in this world. And solidify the belief that you have for what's right. And then drop the fear and drop the paranoia of what might happen if you start to really live in the integrity to that truth. Let it go. And know that God sees you there. God sees us all. God loves us all equally. But do you really start to experience the flow when you are really in integrity with natural law, with universal law, with the truth of spirit, the truth of who you are? And it is nothing outside of you. It is no yoga practice. It is no yoga posture. It is not your cards. It is not your journaling. It's not your anything outside of you. It is from you, the heartbeat, the breath, the stillness, and the discomfort that comes from that. In that space, we tap into our quantum world and we see the truth. And we solidify that truth from within so that it is expressed outwardly, just that it's like a radiance, it's a magnetism. Those are the ones you must listen to. So beware, use discernment of the industry that is spirituality, the industry that is, woke. Definitely watch who you're following as a yoga teacher. I really, 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 really mean that. I really mean that. We are in these times that are dangerous. And you have to know yourself in order to stay safe. You always have choice. Always have choice. And I would really encourage you to follow those who own that notion. And then also practice that notion. So that's it. That's all. Use your voice. Be willing to be raw, be willing to be gritty. Use use your guts and live. Really live. Let the meek, let the small, let the stagnant go. Use your fire. Enact that voice again from an anchored and grounded, compassionate place. But be the pillar, be the anchor for someone else. It's by example that the world starts to see. You live and you lead by example. And so if you know what's, going on with these mandates where certain people are allowed and certain people aren't, I really believe it's your responsibility, because you have this privilege of having, a platform and a voice, to stand up. I've done it. I'm doing it. You can say no. You can say no. You don't have to consent. There is choice, and you mean it might take you away from what you're, comfortable with and what is very much known, but playing in the unknown is where magic really happens. Playing in the unknown is truly living. Playing in the unknown is the human experience. And so if we're starting to just curate this little world where we don't get outside of any sort of comfort zone, you might as well just call it a day. In my personal opinion. Okay, well, if you stayed this long, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you for seeing me. It is in this body, it is in this breath where we have power, where we recognize that we are one. We are one in the innocence. We are one in the vulnerability. We are one in the power. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. When you know yourself completely, when you allow yourself to have an anchor of truth, when you allow yourself to really choose for your own integrity, and you really own your decisions, that's when you are an actual light within this darkness. That is when you are a true guidepost for others. That is when you are really being of service to Source, to God, and using this human life to the best of your ability. So may we all stand in truth together as one. I love you. I love you.